What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Hello, hello, hello. Hope you all are doing fantastic. What is today? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Guys, we have had a pretty busy Tuesday because I looked up earlier today. I looked up on my on X. I pulled up the X app during lunch and I looked up and I was like, okay, what's happening in WNBA today? And all through my Twitter feed, I saw post after post like, I can't believe she did this and blah 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 blah. And I was like, what happened? What what happened on WNBA Twitter that's making everybody so upset? I saw Michaela Onyenwere post something, and I was like, okay, well, what happened? And I saw Sydney Colson's post, and I just knew that a lot of players and a lot of W fans were upset. And so I did some digging to figure out what's the problem, what are people upset about, and what's going on. And it turns out that they were upset about something that Cathy Engelbert said. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be a good idea. This is going to be a really, really good idea to do a live stream talking, a daily download live stream talking about what is going on with Cathy Engelbert, what she said, and ultimately who she is and all that good stuff. All right, so in this stream, guys, we are going to do a deep dive on who Cathy Engelbert is because I'm very familiar with her. I knew her before she became, not actually know her, but I was aware of her before she became the commissioner of the WNBA. And I wanted to just sort of do a quick deep dive of who she is first, and then talk about what she said, talk about my thoughts about that, and talk about what other people have said about it, and get you all's thoughts about what's happening. Okay? All right. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so this stream, we are going to talk all about Cathy Engelbert. So if y'all do have any Cathy Engelbert questions, put them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer those questions. So the first question is, who in the world is Cathy Engelbert? Who is she? Well, Cathy Engelbert is a lifelong basketball fan. Did you know she actually played basketball? Like, basketball was one of her passions. She was a big basketball fan. She comes from a basketball family. Her dad was actually drafted to the NBA, so that's kind of cool. She also played D1 basketball and also played lacrosse at Lehigh University. So she does have a basketball background, even though she does come from the corporate world. Basketball really has been her love, right? It's been something that she's done all growing up and something that her family was pretty involved in as well. All right, so that's generally the younger side of Cathy Engelbert. All right, and then Cathy Engelbert graduates from Lehigh University, and she gets into business. And guys, when I tell you she gets into the business, she works at Deloitte for 33 years. And the thing about Deloitte, guys, that's one of those big four firms. Deloitte is huge, right? They are absolutely huge. And this is a company that if you're at Deloitte, first of all, you have to go through crazy, and I know some people who used to work at Deloitte. There's crazy amount of interviews to get in at Deloitte, and like the whole process of if you work at Deloitte, you must be a pretty good business person. But she worked there for 33 years. Not only that, she actually became the CEO of Deloitte in 2015. Now, you know, that's a huge deal. She was the first woman ever to become CEO of Deloitte in 2015. You know, and Deloitte, if you don't know, it is one of the big four, one of the largest professional services orgs in the U.S. They have over 100,000 employees, and Cathy led all that. She led all that. She helped grow their revenue by 30% when she was there. She did a whole bunch of stuff, won some awards while she was CEO and all that good stuff. All right, so she was a big deal. And also, guys, she was the first woman to lead a U.S. Big Four firm. All right. And she decided to retire from Deloitte, and she got busy real quick. After retiring, it was announced that she was going to become the WNBA's first ever commissioner. Now, guys, a commissioner is not something that the WNBA had before. Yes, the WNBA had other sort of leaders, right? They had other leaders, and they were called presidents. They did not have a commissioner. Until Cathy Engelbert, they did not have a commissioner. Cathy Engelbert was named the first ever commissioner, and it made sense. She wasn't going to be hired just to sort of maintain where the WNBA was. She was hired to use her business acumen to move the WNBA forward to where it really needs to go for the future, for future growth, not just sort of maintaining, but also growing and forward thinking. And so that's why they decided to have a commissioner, similar to how the NBA has a commissioner. Their commissioner is Adam Silver, and Adam Silver actually spoke at the announcement in 2019 when Cathy Engelbert was named as the WNBA's first ever commissioner. And here is what he said. He said, Cathy is a world-class business leader with a deep connection to women's basketball, which makes her the ideal person to lead the WNBA into its next phase of growth. The WNBA will benefit significantly from her more than 30 years of business and operational experience, including revenue generation, sharp entrepreneurial instincts, and proven management abilities. And we also heard from Cathy Engelbert when she was announced in 2019 as the new leader. She said, it is an absolute privilege to be joining the WNBA at such an exciting and important time in its history. I see tremendous opportunity to bolster visibility for the sport of women's basketball, empower the players, and enhance fan engagement. I look forward to using my business expertise and passion for basketball to promote women in the game and beyond, and to working with the teams and world-class athletes to help grow this league into a thriving business. So guys, that's why she was hired. That is why Cathy Engelbert was hired. She was hired to take the WNBA to new heights. And guys, if y'all are just joining, I want to give you all some backstory about who Cathy Engelbert is, so y'all can have that in your mind as we get into what exactly she said and what the controversy is all about. Okay. So hopefully this is helpful for y'all. If y'all could, please make sure to hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button as well to the channel. All right. So let's talk about what exactly Cathy Engelbert has done. So yes, she became the first ever commissioner in 2019. It was a big deal. We had presidents in the past. Now we got a whole commissioner, which is a bigger role, which is a role that does give more ownership on the person to kind of do what they want to do. Yes, she does report to the NBA, the NBA board, but her sort of being that commissioner, she does have the ability to make some decisions on her own, and she has, in my opinion, done quite a bit. She executed a collective bargaining agreement in 2020. This was the sort of game changer of a bargaining agreement that increased the pay. It also gave players the ability, like maternity leave, and like it changed a whole bunch of stuff when it came to the WNBA. And it really was sort of a game changer of a collective bargaining agreement in 2020. Of course, we'll have a new CBA soon, and players are a little bit restless right now. But in 2020, that execution of that collective bargaining agreement was a huge, huge deal. And that was like one of her big points as she came in, to focus on that and making sure that players were happy, at least in 2020. All right. She also helped to raise $25 million in capital from outside investors to help fund the WNBA. in what they call league transformation projects. There has been a whole thing about Cathy, where has the $75 million gone and all this other stuff. But she did secure it. She did secure quite a bit of money from investors into the WNBA, which has led to some pretty big things. And we're seeing that they're using more and more of the money now to just really promote the WNBA. Also, Cathy Engelbert helped the WNBA survive COVID. Guys, if you don't remember, COVID was a huge thing. It was absolutely crazy. And there was a chance that the WNBA could have folded. There really was, because COVID knocked out a lot of businesses. And Cathy Engelbert helped to steer the ship. Yeah, sure, it was rocky in the wobble, yeah, it had its issues. However, she helped to steer the league into that, kept players paid, and was able to still give people a product to see, even though it was very, very different in the wobble. So I thought that was pretty huge. So I wanted to call that out. There's some more stuff that she did. She created the WNBA Commissioner's Cup in 2020, which is a cup that exists to this day. This is slightly different than the original. The Commissioner Cup that we have right now is slightly different than the original Commissioner Cup that we had, but it was a new opportunity. It was a new opportunity to grow the league, and it was a new opportunity to give players some more money in their pockets and some more incentive to show up and show out in key moments. All right, let's continue on. She also, in 2023, did a couple of things, including helping the WNBA to have their most watched regular season in 2021. This was last year. So last year, we had record numbers all throughout the WNBA. Merch sales were up. TV ratings were up. Again, the most watched regular season in 21 years. We also saw the total attendance for the WNBA at its highest in 13 years. So again, more cool stuff that has happened. And this year has even shattered that, right? We've seen, yes, 2023 was a huge year for the WNBA, huge year for growth. And a lot of revenue came in the door in 2023, but 2024 has been even better. We've seen several, well over 10, 1 million plus games so far this season. We have seen sold out games. We have seen attendance go up the wazoo. So the last 2 years, we've seen some crazy, crazy, crazy amount of growth. And we've also seen the WNBA promote players in a bigger way than they at least had in the last couple of years. And so that's a big thing as well. And I kind of said this already, but in 2024, we saw record viewership and attendance numbers. We also got the $2.2 billion media rights deal. Now, I said it before, I say it again. I think it could have been more. I think we possibly could have got a little bit more out of that. I did do a video about it at the time when that deal was released. But the fact that the WNBA has $2.2 billion over the next 11 years is huge. It's astronomical amount of money that will absolutely help this league continue to grow in the future. Also, Cathy helped to introduce 2 new teams to the WNBA. We got the Golden State Valkyries, and we have the new Toronto team, which TBD on the actual name. Golden State starts in 2025, which is next year. And the Toronto team starts in 2026, though we also will have another team in 2026 as well. It will be, it'll be announced soon. It'll be in Portland. The official word has not been out yet, but it's coming. All right. So that's kind of the backstory of sorts. It's kind of the backstory of sorts for for Cathy Engelbert. But guys, the most important thing that you all should know when we talk about Cathy Engelbert, and this is, I think, going to help color the conversation today, is Cathy Engelbert. Cathy Engelbert is extremely corporate. This lady is corporate. She is a businesswoman who seems most comfortable in a corporate audience, not so much as a cultural reader. Now, there's a lot of people who are like for the culture type people. Cathy Engelbert is not that. Cathy Engelbert is you want to grow, you want to make business savvy decisions. Do you want to ensure that you're able to sustain yourself for the future? It's like that sort of, measure 12 times, cut once type of deal. That's from what I have seen with Cathy Engelbert at her time at Deloitte, from what I've seen in the WNBA with Cathy Engelbert. She is a corporate person. She's very comfortable at CNBC around sort of like corporate people. And so that's something to just have in your mind as we sort of talk about the actual meat of today's discussion, right? I think she's done a fantastic job as the commissioner for the WNBA. I really do. But she's not she's not what some WNBA players would like. She doesn't say the type of things that all WNBA players want her to say, right? Or fans want her to say and whatnot. So that is something to note, guys. All right. So yeah, that's the thing. Dorothea, here, let me read. Dorothea says, "You mean why don't we talk about Cathy, who does not deal with the flagrant fouls, terrible referees, and poor coaching?" I mean, that's something that the WNBA does need to work out. that is something that the WNBA does need to work out. But thank y'all for chatting. I'm gonna get to more y'all chats soon after we actually watch the clip. All right, so here's another sort of quote that she said, and I just want to call this out before we actually get into the nitty gritty of it. All right, so Cathy Engelbert, she recently said to be leading, and this is she said this a couple of years ago, but she said to be leading a league, the WNBA, that is the only women's professional league in the USA to reach 25 years, to survive and now thrive. I'm just so proud to have worked with the WNBA players. When I first came in on the collective bargaining agreement, it was hard, but building trust with them, showing them that I'm a player-first commissioner, just thinking about the number of accomplishments this league and these players have achieved over the past 24 years, I'd call it more admiration. Having come from 33 years of business and come into a league where, yes, we still need to improve the player experience. Yes, we still have to enhance the fan engagement and boost the economics of the league, but I am proud of the momentum that's all been set up before I got here. All right, so that is the general backstory about Cathy Engelbert. Also, I forgot to mention the fact that Cathy Engelbert did get private flights for the league, and so that's something to note. That is something to note. Let's see. We're gonna get into the clips in just a sec, but I do want to get to y'all comments. Gamble says they already switched from Angel to Paige on the other platforms since they don't have Quita's knowledge about the game. They have nothing else to talk about. Are you talking? Oh, other channels and whatnot. But okay. Yeah, y'all, I know a whole lot of random stuff about a lot of random stuff. So that's what you're gonna get on this. That's what you're gonna get on this channel. All right. William, your phone is funny. William says we absolutely need to figure out a way to work together to get Quita on some national broadcast platform like ESPN. I don't know if ESPN would do a deep dive like this. Like, I don't know if they would. Like, I think there is an economics at play for major media companies where they will not, I don't think, do stuff that is good for the fans and not necessarily good for their pocketbooks. Like, this stream is not going to get a lot of views. It's not going to go crazy, which is why you don't see other people doing it. So that's the thing. Yes, they're going to talk about this situation, but they're not going to give you that much backstory about Cathy. They're not going to tell you where she came from, what she's doing. Like, they're not going to go through all this stuff. They don't care. They want to get to the nitty-gritty, the anger-written stuff, not so much the educational stuff. And so, you're not really going to see this really any place else because, for the most part, most people, most companies want to make a whole bunch of money, and me, I have another job that I actually make money from. So that's why I don't post as much on here. But also that's why I do deep dives, because I want to, and it's a passion that I have. It's not a economics incentive. Because if it was, I would be making way different content. If this is economic incentive. Okay, so guys, Cathy Engelbert recently spoke at she recently had an interview on CNBC. And she said some things that people had thoughts about. Now, I put this interview in two parts. I'm going to play the first part. We're going to talk about it. Then I'm going to play the second part. Then we're going to talk about it. Because the second part is really the thing that got a lot of people sort of up in arms. So keep in mind that, Cathy Engelbert's a corporate person. Keep in mind that, CNBC is like her vibe, right? And So CNBC also, if y'all don't know, CNBC is sort of like the economic news channel. Like, that's what they do. They talk about the economy all day long, and they have CEOs come up and they answer different questions. All right. So the first part is sort of, it's not necessarily, it's kind of relevant to the topic, but anyway, we'll get into it. All right. So let's watch the first part.
With us right at the start of the season, right after the draft, which was extraordinarily exciting. The season has lived up to expectations by almost every metric.
Absolutely lived up to expectations, exceeded them much more so as quickly as we thought coming off that historic draft. These rookies have put on quite a season, and it's not just Caitlin and Angel. Rickea Jackson and other rookies are killing it this year. And then our veterans have really stepped up. Asia Wilson's having a historic season for the Aces, and Brianna Stewart in New York. So, and you mentioned all the revenue drivers. We also signed a historic media deal since I was here last.
That's right.
Long-term media deal, which was important for the stability of the league. And as people have been calling it a growth stock, we have a lot of upside to
How much did the Olympics help or hurt you?
Well, we do take an Olympic break, but because we had such great momentum going in, including to our All-Star game, our most viewed All-Star game ever. So coming off of that, the women, U.S. women won the gold medal, but it was a highly competitive game against France where there were several WNBA players. So we have now about 17% of our players born outside the United States. So we're kind of globalizing our player population like the NBA and other sports have. So I think it was a good thing to raise. I mean, I was in Paris. The vibe in that arena for those games was unbelievable. France, Belgium, obviously the U.S., France. France being in both gold medal games, men and women, was so exciting because you had the hometown crowd there as well. So I think it was accretive to global basketball.
It wasn't in the Olympics. It wasn't just the women's basketball. It was women's volleyball. A lot of women's sports is taking off, it seems to me.
Yeah, it's a confluence of a lot of positive elements, and it's a lot of capital coming into women's sports. We raised capital 2.5 years ago when nobody really was thinking about investing in women's sports. Mm-hmm. And now we're getting calls, many calls from people, private equity, everybody who wants to invest in women's sports.
Let's go.
All right, so that's the first part of the conversation. So very general, like typical CNBC vibes of a normal CEO or whatever. Like, it's just general backstory or background information about the company. How is it doing? and talked about the Olympics. Like, all in all, great interview, like great start to the interview. No issues at all. She handled everything well. This is going great. And then, guys, there is a question that Cathy Engelbert should have anticipated, but did not. And this is the giant issue. This is going to be the giant issue that a lot of people had issues with. The first half, perfectly fine. She did a great job. Great job answering those questions. Not a problem. No issue. Second part, let's talk about it. All right. But let's first, let me play the clip and we'll get into specifically what she had to say and what people had issues with. All right.
Go to that question, which raises some sensitivities of rivalries between players. In the case of Angel Reese, who's just had to shut it down because of a wrist injury, Caitlin Clark, who's continuing to play. Rivalry that goes back to their college days, presumably, where I guess some trash talking entered in. But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about the other?
Well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. So the social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist. But, you know, I always tell the players, you know, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. So it's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago, because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
I agree. Rivalries are good. Manning and Brady, the prime one among them.
All right. So that's that clip. I wanted to play the full thing so y'all can get the full context. That clip is it kind of went everywhere. And basically my take on it is Cathy Engelbert had a layup and she absolutely blew it, guys. She absolutely blew it. Cathy Engelbert, you know, talk about the rivalries. That's not a problem. You know, the fan bases are kind of crazy and whatnot. But she had an easy opportunity, in my opinion, because the guy who, if you don't know, the person who was the main person talking during the interview, his name is Tyler Matheson. Really good interviewer. I thought the question that he asked was really good. And he talked about the idea that on social, there is a different tone that some stuff has taken when it comes to the WNBA, specifically speaking on Caitlin and Angel, right? And, you know, he talked about race being introduced in there, right? And this was a perfect opportunity to, yes, sure, say the rest of the stuff that she said, but it was the perfect opportunity for her to say, basically, the league, the WNBA, does not condone racism that some people on the internet are interested in engaging with in and around the WNBA. That's basically all she had to say. But she did not. So let's get into specifically what has been happening, because there's been a lot of crazy stuff happening for WNBA players. So yeah, let's specifically look at the quotes. All right. So This is specifically the question that Tyler Matheson had to ask. He said, now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced in the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try to stay ahead of that or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved? Not personally, but it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about the other. That was the question. It was very poignant and directed around specifically some of the negative aspects around this quote unquote rivalry. The question did not ask about the greatness of a rivalry. That was not the question. The question was, how do you stay ahead of the more of the sort of bad, darker parts of social when it comes to your two most visible fan bases and whatnot. So that was the question. And her answer was, well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sports and fashion and music. The WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons. And when you have that, when you have a lot of attention on you, there's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It's a little bit of that bird magic moment, if you recall. And then she goes on from there. But guys, that was not the question. Like, I am a fan of Cathy Engelbert. I think she's doing a great job as commissioner. But that was not the question she was asked. Okay, she was asked again about the more menacing, darker turn that some of the commentary around women's basketball has taken. That's what she was asked about, and like, how does the WNBA navigate that? And she went straight to the positive thing, which is that WNBA players are very visible right now, and a lot of people are paying attention to what they have to say and whatnot, and there's less apathy, which is true. That's all true. But that wasn't the question that was asked, guys. That was not the question. And then she starts to talk about the Magic and Bird rivalry. She said from 1979, when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two, meaning Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. Again, guys, she didn't answer the question at all. She like, guys, the question was a straight line, and she just curved that thing. She's like, skirt. It's like she really curved that thing, and I was like, come on, girl. It wasn't that hard. Like it wasn't that hard. Man. Gamble, thank you so much for the super chat. There's a super sticker. It's a pair character lifting some weights saying keep it up. Well, thank you. I will keep it up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's interesting. Robert says the league should be trying to set an example for what is acceptable behavior. She is just saying, cool, let's ride the wave. She's a bean counter hack. I don't know what that means. Is that like I assume that you're saying that as an insult, but I don't know what that means. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe that's an older phrase, or I don't know. I don't understand what that means. But your point, Robert, I think is that she's like, yeah, I'm fine with all this stuff, even though she didn't say it in omission, kind of. And I don't think that's. I think that she sees primarily all of the benefits of this rivalry between the fan bases, and is possibly intentionally ignoring the cons of the rivalry, mainly being that, yeah, Magic and Bird was huge. That was a huge rivalry. But it also was a very negative rivalry. Yes, the rivalry helped to grow the NBA. It did. Like a lot of people view that time period as like a favorable time period for the NBA. But in real time, I don't think it actually was that positive and that joyous. I don't think it was. And yes, you do have sort of that Magic and Bird moment with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. But not only was that not as joyous of a time period as we like to remember it as, but also, guys, we have social media. Social media did not exist back then. It did not exist back then at all. Yeah, you had trolls, but the trolls wrote in newspapers, sent letters, and not a ton of people saw it. But now, trolls can say all this crazy stuff, and it's seen by millions of people, and like it goes straight to the person, and the person can see it and see the craziness. So like this is a different period. This is absolutely a different period. And again, I don't believe that Cathy Engelbert is in support of people saying crazy stuff, people saying racist stuff. I don't think she's in support of that. I think she probably came into this interview, one, not necessarily expecting that question, and two, I think she came into this interview with talking points, right? You heard it at that first part, right? Where the talking point for Cathy Engelbert is to talk about the greatness of both Caitlin and Angel, but say not just Caitlin and Angel, but also Rickea Jackson. It's also to make sure to mention A'ja Wilson's name, and it's to talk about games of consequence. That seems to be the talking point for Cathy Engelbert. And she had an interview with CNBC before the season started, and it was a sort of similar playbook where, they're trying to draw up games of consequence. That seems to be a phrase that she really likes to say a lot. And, it's all about rivalries and really getting people engaged and interested in whatnot. And it's talking about the growth of the game, talking about Caitlin, talking about Angel, talking about A'ja Wilson, and that's pretty much it. Like that's kind of like the talking points that she's on, and I get it. That's fine. But I think she was so like into her talking points that she didn't think like, ding, 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 ding. This is a perfect opportunity for you just to call out some people on their nonsense and move on. And she missed that opportunity. And I think this is one of those things where I said earlier that she's a very corporate person, right? She doesn't. I don't think she's necessarily like a. And this is probably a bad phrase. She's not necessarily sort of a for the culture type person, or like sort of a cultural reader that's like, oh, if I say this, folks on Twitter are gonna go wild, right? She's not that type of person, right? And so I don't think she thought it was a big deal what she said. But in the land of social media, it's a big deal because, again, people have seen her. Yes, Miss Nina. Yes, people saw her curve that question like crazy. Yeah, she curved the mess out of that question. She did. She absolutely did. And so, yeah, that's the thing. Honestly says they have made AI explicit pics of Angel and have given her and her teammates death threats. Does someone know if this has happened to Clark? Is there AI explicit pictures of her and have people been threatened? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's happened for Caitlin. All right. Lindy says, we've talked trash on the court at games, but respect off the court. You have two different types of fans. Ones that enjoy basketball and are realistic in how the game... you have two different types of fans. Ones that enjoy basketball and are realistic in how the game is played. And then Lindy said the second set of fans have become obsessed with players and actually think they are part of the team. They think players actually read what they post. Lindy, I think you might be onto something. I think you might be onto something, because I do think that there's like two different types of fans out there, and both sets have very different goals. And it's led to some crazy things. So yeah. Robert says she came from Deloitte, a big accounting firm. Huge. Yeah. Deloitte is a huge company. Huge. Lindy also says then you have the trolls, which start trouble. Yep. Gamble says stands, not fans. Marcus says, let's go Rakia, cook time. Yeah. I mean, Rakia's been doing her thing. I'm just saying, Rakia's been doing her thing. Alton says, Cathy doesn't want to piss off those Caitlin Clark fair weather fans. Possibly. And guys, me saying that is not me saying that, all of her fans are that way. No. I think most of her fans that I have engaged with in person and online are awesome. But there is a contingent that she's probably like, well, maybe I don't want to say too much to make people really, really upset. But the problem is it's a catch-22. If you don't just literally say all she had to say, like, this is not me saying, and I'm not in favor of Cathy Engelbert going on a 10-minute rant about the terribleness of some fans and whatnot. I'm in favor of her literally all she had to do with that question she was asked. It would have taken 5 seconds. All she had to do was say that she loves rivalry and she loves the additional attention that the Angel and Caitlin rivalry has had, but that some people have taken it a little bit too far, and that the league does not condone racism that some folks are engaging with on social. That's all she had to say. It's not a thing where you need to go down the rabbit hole and like call out every single thing that someone's done. You could just do a blanket statement, and personally, I would have been okay. I would have been cool with that. Yes, some other people would have still been mad or whatever. I would have been cool with that. That's all it took. It did not have to be like a long drawn out thing, just a quick thing. And she could have continued to say everything she wanted to say about the magic bird thing. No problem with that. My problem is that she just skirted around the actual question, went to all the positives about the rivalry, and did not address at all the negatives about it, which is what the question was about. The question was about the negatives surrounding the Angel Reese / Caitlin Clark rivalry that's not even spurred on by them two. It's spurred on by the fans. And so that's the thing. That's why she blew it, in my opinion. That's why she blew it. Because again, it just took 5 seconds to just say that and move on. To say, to address the negative parts that you just talked about. Yes, we have seen that, and the WNBA is not in support of racism, sexism, or anything like that related to our players. But a positive that I've seen about the rivalries is yada, yada. She could have went through the whole thing, everything she said about Magic and Bird and all that stuff. She could have went through all that stuff, but just stopped and just answered the question first, and then went on to the positives. Her job is to focus on positives. Her job is to grow the WNBA, right? It's to is to get more corporations involved in the W. That's why she's on CNBC. She's not on CNBC because she's talking to WNBA fans and WNBA players. No, that's not why she's on CNBC. She's on CNBC because she wants more corporate dollars into the WNBA. She wants more investment into the WNBA. That's why she's on CNBC. But while you're on CNBC, and that's the audience that you're talking to live, those sort of like business type people, you know we're in the age of the internet. So anything you say on any platform will eventually be taken to Twitter, and this will be a thing. So I think that's a slight disconnect that I think she has, where she's solely focusing on the positive, doing her talking points, focusing on the positive, talking about growth and whatnot, talking about all the great stuff that this rivalry has to offer, but skirting the negative part because of the audience that she's talking to. But we are in the age of the internet, guys. Anything you say, even if you're talking to the business audience of CNBC, it's gonna get clipped and it's gonna go on social media, and then you got to answer for that. So I think, I think that's a thing. I think that's the thing. Honestly says the beef was created, but carried out and expanded by the fans. Yep. Future says, honestly, she definitely dodged the question, but I don't think she had a bad answer. Like, I'm not burning her at the stake for this. Yeah, and I'm not either. Like, and that's the thing. Like, guys, like, her answer in a vacuum is possibly fine. But I just think she just needed to just add that little bit at the front to just say, yes, there are negatives to it. The WNBA does not condone some of the racism that we've seen. However, ... talk about everything you just said. Like, I don't have a problem with her answer if she just added that sort of part at the top that just addressed the question, and said that the WNBA doesn't condone it. Like, that's it. Like, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a huge thing to add, in my opinion. That is. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on that. And players had some stuff to say about it, right? Players felt a type of way about what Cathy Engelbert had to say. And they were in their feelings a little bit, and probably understandably so. And I want to talk about specifically how players have handled what was said, right? So we saw Michaela Onyenwere. She posted yikes with the sort of like the squiggly mouth emoji. We saw Sydney Colson. She posted a funny meme about it. And it was a matter of time before the WNBPA addressed it. And they finally did. They posted a couple minutes ago on X saying, here's the answer that the commissioner should have provided to the very clear question regarding the racism, misogyny, and harassment experienced by the players. There's absolutely no place in sport or in life for that vile, hate, racist language, homophobia comments, and misogynistic attacks our players are facing on social media. This is not about rivalries or iconic personalities fueling a business model. This kind of toxic fandom should never be tolerated or left unchecked. It demands immediate action and frankly should have been addressed long ago. And this is WNBPA Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson. She continues and says, as director of the WNBPA, now in my 9th season, I can say that we wholeheartedly welcome the rising interest in the WNBA over the past few years, particularly the surge in fandom sparked by this electrifying rookie class led by Angel and Caitlin. To the loyal fans who have been with the W for decades, thank you for your unwavering support. You know the history, the game, and the players. You know us best. And to our new fans, welcome. Your energy and passion are recognized and appreciated. Together with all our fans, we will continue to grow a sustainable and thriving future for the W. She continues on to say, let's be clear, fandom should uplift the game, not tear down the very people who bring it life. Racism and the toll it takes on everyone is never tolerable, let alone justifiable, in the name of economic growth. This is about more than just basketball. It's about respect, accountability, and setting the standard for what we will and will not accept in sport and society. So that is what the WNBPA had to say. Now we're going to get into some more of y'all comments. I'm going to sort of do a final word about this, and we're going to move on with our lives. Let's see what y'all have to say. FT says, she meaning Cathy Engelbert, does not want to feed the online trolls, but now this might force her to pay lip service. In the end, what can anyone actually do? Yeah. Honestly says, it's not in the best interest of the league to not have the hate. Hate stirs the fans. Fans bring the views, and the views bring the money. They need the beef because it's how they eat sad. Well, honestly, like you do absolutely have a point to that. And yeah, that's the reality of things. Yeah. Rage sells. It gets people against each other, and it makes them cheer on someone else, and it probably makes them watch games more and makes them engage more on social media and all that stuff. Like, so to me, there is a positive to that, but literally all she had to say was, yeah, sure. There's lots of benefits to this rivalry, and like, it's bringing out a lot of like, emotions, but in my opinion, it was as simple as, but there are some people who are taking it too far. That's all that kind of had to be, right? Like the people who literally were telling Diamond Shields that they wish she would have died, back when she had that tumor, back when she was in the hospital for a long time. All you have to do is just say that some people take it too far. That's it. Like, I don't think this is like I don't think this is a thing where she necessarily has to like, and actually I wouldn't recommend her to going down the list of like every single terrible thing some people have said and all this other stuff, and like calling out specific people and whatnot. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, literally, it's just, and some people have taken it too far, and those people we don't appreciate. That's it. Like, I don't think it, but you are absolutely right. Yeah. Beef, does stir a lot of interest. Hate does stir a lot of interest. It does. Rage works. That's why it's called rage bait, right? Rage bait on social media and all that stuff. It works. So yeah, that's a thing to note. Absolutely. Okay, so I do want to get into I do want to get into my sort of closing thoughts on this. There are a lot of people online who are talking about Cathy Engelbert needs to be fired, and they need to replace her with insert random WNBA player here as the new commissioner. No. Guys, the thing to note is that Cathy Engelbert has had a very, very successful tenure as commissioner for the WNBA. She has been fantastic for the WNBA. We have seen gains from her being in leadership in the WNBA. I think, yes, sometimes does she make decisions that I don't agree with? Yeah, sure. No one's perfect. Yeah, sure. Does she make mistakes? Yeah, sure. Does the WNBA still have a long way to go? Yeah, sure. Referees, on down, right? There's a lot of stuff that that the WNBA can get better at. But Cathy Engelbert has been fantastic for the W. She has. And she's trying to sort of toe this tight rope of trying to not say anything that will make a lot of the new fans leave, right? While also trying to engage future investors to invest in the league. This president trying to help me talk. There's a tight rope that she's trying to thread. She's trying to make sure that WNBA players are happy, and make sure that they feel like they are invested in this league too, that they feel like they are getting the things that they are promised, that they feel happy about the WNBA and that they want to promote the WNBA, right? So you're trying to please the players, you're trying to please existing fans who have been fans for a long time. You're trying to appease new fans who, all have various agendas and various thoughts and whatnot about how things work in the WNBA. You're also trying to engage new investors by painting a very, very rosy picture of the current standing of the WNBA and the future standing of the WNBA. So yeah, it's a tightrope. It's a tightrope, and people, somebody will not be happy. In fact, multiple somebodies will not be happy in just about any decision that she decides, that anything she says or any decision she makes, right? And so that's a thing to note. She can't please everybody. Do I think that she should have added a little bit to her response? Yes, I do. But yeah, that's the thing. No one's perfect. I think she'll learn from this. I think she'll take a little beat after a question is asked and is like, yes, I know I want to go through my talking points. I know I want to go through all the positive stuff, but let me just address this real quick. Let me drop this in real quick. Yes, some people are problematic. Move on. That's literally all she has to do. I hope she does not overcorrect, but we'll see ultimately what happens. We'll see ultimately what happens from here. Bible Boy says the new WNBA fans are racist. Don't see how they are growing the game. Bible Boy, I really push back on that. I really do push back on that. Most of these new WNBA fans are not racist. They're not. I think there is a small contingent of very vocal people on the internet who are. The vast majority of these new fans are not. From people, from me seeing people email me, from me meeting people in real life at games that are new to the WNBA, from me seeing people comments on YouTube, from other social media platforms, the majority of new fans that I've engaged with, they're not. There is a small contingent of very, very, very vocal people who are. I don't agree with the fact that the new fan, the majority of the new fans are racist. They're not. And I think that this is one of those things that hurts growth. Because you have sort of existing fans. You have existing fans who kind of speak in generalities a little bit, and it turns people off. It absolutely turns people off, guys. There are people who are like, I'm new, I'm not racist, but yet you're like brushing with a broad brush of like all the new fans, and that's not true. And then it turns them off, and then it starts to make them feel a certain type of way, and whatnot. And so that's the thing. That's so no, the majority of the new fans are not that. Not even close to half. Not even close. But I do think that there is a very, very vocal minority of people who are. The WNBA needs new fans. They knew. The WNBA, in order for the WNBA to actually survive in the next 10 years, they need these new fans. All right? They do. Yes, call out the minority of the crazy fans who got a lot of issues and whatnot. Right? Call those people, like, say, hey, y'all taking it too far, but don't paint with a broad brush, because the majority of new fans are not that. I do think it's important for them to feel welcome. I do think it's extremely important for them to feel welcome and feel like they also belong in the WNBA. Because guys, the WNBA is for everybody. All you have to do is like women's basketball. That's it. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is like women's basketball, and you can hop right in and join the party, right? So that's sort of my thoughts right there. Yeah, that's the thing. FTGF, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I don't always agree, but I appreciate your views. Thanks for the live stream. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Appreciate the support. And now also, guys, that is totally cool. Like, I love that. Don't always agree with me. Like the thing is, I think a lot of times that people, sometimes people feel, see, that's me painting with a broad brush. That's not all the time. Sometimes I feel that people think that because they disagree with somebody on something, that like all of the person is terrible because they disagree with one thing. It's totally fine. You all can hear my conversation about this topic, and you are like completely against it. You're like, Quita, you're being too soft on Cathy, or you're like, Quita, you're being too hard on Cathy. Either way, it's fine to disagree. It is absolutely fine to disagree. Share your thoughts in the comments. Absolutely share your thoughts in the comments. But it's totally cool to disagree with me. I am not of the mind where someone disagrees, they are a terrible person and all this other stuff. No, it's fine to disagree. It's fine to believe different things. But guys, we are all unified in our love of women's basketball. And if y'all love women's basketball, if y'all a fan of a women's basketball player, y'all belong here. You belong here regardless of any other opinions and thoughts that you may have. Seti, thank you so much for the super chat, says, I know we talk about social media platforms, but I think traditional media also has fanned the flames of crazy stardom. I am a new fan, and I am not racist. A majority of new fans are not. Yeah. Seti, I do think that the sort of major media structure does play a role in that as well. Absolutely does play a role in that as well. But the thing that we all have to think about is that there is an incentive to continue things the way that they are. There's a financial incentive. There's a actual legit reason why you see some media platforms fanning the flames of this, of all the negative aspects of this rivalry thing, right? There is a reason, because it's financially viable. It's financially smart, right? It's financially smart to do that. But ultimately, I think that I think that this is the reality of where the media game is. Cash is king. I completely agree. Yeah, This person says, for these media companies, if it bleeds, it leads. Yeah. The more terrible stuff they can say, the more like they can fan the flames of craziness. It helps. It helps their ratings. It helps more people see commercials, which then gives them more money in their pockets. Like it makes sense. Like I think it makes a lot of sense. But I will say that it doesn't have to be that way. And on this channel, I try not for it to be that way. Like I don't, because this is not my actual job. I feel like the incentive to, if it bleeds, it leads, rage bait, that incentive isn't really there for me, because I don't really make any money from this. Like this is not like a very like extremely lucrative thing for me. Like this is just a thing that I do, and I make enough money to pay for my season tickets, and pay for my camera and my computer that I use for this. So it's one of those things where these media companies and these people who are like solo creators, that this is their real job, like to garner clicks and views and whatnot, they're going to focus on the negative stuff because they're financially they need to. And so that's one of those things that it's sort of tough. And it's like one of those things where like I sort of think about that, like when I do I actually want to do this as a real career? Because if so, I will have to at some point probably think about the if it bleeds, it leads stuff. I think that yeah. So yeah, that's the thing right there. That's the thing. Lindy says negativity spreads faster than positivity. When you see hate, block it. You do it enough time, they move on. Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true, I think. Futuristic says Caitlin Clark is MVP runner-up. I wouldn't say she's the runner-up. I would definitely say she's top 5. Maybe that's controversial. I don't know. I think she's top 5 for sure. C-Smoke says this is exactly why people on major networks are scared to put Caitlin Clark in the MVP conversation, because they know they will be called racist. They'll be called racist if they put her in the conversation. I mean, I think she's definitely in the conversation. As I said, I don't think she's the runner up right now, but she's definitely in the conversation. And I don't think that's I don't think that's a racist thing to say. I think that's just a thing. I think that is just a thing. Jay says if a person only watches for a specific player, are they actually a fan of the W? No, I would say they're a fan of that one particular person. And I think that's fine. Like while I would love for people who are fans of one person to become fans of everybody, while I would love that, I think it's fine if you're not. Like, to me, people who are like, I'm Caitlin Clark only and I don't care about anybody else, I think that's fine. I think that is absolutely fine. Now, would I try to convince you to care about other fans or other players and whatnot and other teams and whatnot? Yeah, sure. But I think it's fine if that's all you want to care about. I think that's fine. Same thing for like people who are like, I'm Asia Wilson only. I'm not a fan of anybody else. That's fine too. Like I don't think it's a big deal. Now, if you're a fan of one person, does that mean you're then a fan of the entire league? No. Like, I think you could be a fan of just one person and not be a fan of the W. And ultimately, that's fine. Now, will I try to convince you to be a fan of other teams? Yeah, sure, I would. And other players, I would. But it's okay if you're not. Like, I don't think that's a horrible thing. Now, so a lot of y'all probably disagree with me. A lot of y'all probably disagree with me on that. Not a lot of y'all. Some of y'all probably do disagree. But that's my thoughts about that. Those are my thoughts. All right, let's continue on. We do have a super chat. Thank you so much, Denzel, for the super chat. Says the WNBA should be an Afro league. Europeans have always blocked her expansions by purple. She did what? I'm confused. What? Denzel, I'm very confused. To your first statement, the WNBA should be an Afro league. I completely disagree with that. I am in complete disagreement with that. I do appreciate your super chat, but I disagree with that statement. The WNBA is the Women's National Basketball Association. So that means if you're a woman and you're really good at basketball, you're welcome. It says nothing about race of people who can join. Yes, the WNBA is primarily black. It is. Same as the NBA. But no, it should not be. It should not be an Afro league. It should not be. I completely disagree with that. No. Whoever, like, I don't know. If you're female, if you want to play basketball, if you're good, you should be welcome. Other than that, whatever. Other than that, there should not be any real restrictions around that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the second part of your question. I'm not really sure what you were saying there, but yeah, that's my thoughts right there. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Kentucky Rick says nobody is asking why CNBC, a business news channel, is asking race baiting questions. Sounds like they are trying to compete with race baiting ESPN. It's all about the drama and not basketball. Now, Kentucky Rick, this is an interesting statement right here. Now, I will say that I was a little bit shocked that CNBC asked this question personally. I used to watch CNBC back in the day. Not so much anymore. But I'm a bit shocked that they asked that question. I don't think that's a race baiting question though. While I'm surprised about the question, I don't think it's a race baiting question. I think it's a question that because it didn't really call out, again, guys, let's sort of take a look at this question again. It didn't specifically call out specifics. It just said again, now it seems on social media channels, on some social media channels, to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn where race has been introduced in the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced in the conversation. How do you try to stay ahead of that or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved? Not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about the other. I don't think that's a race baiting question. I don't. I'm actually, I don't think it is. Am I surprised that CNBC is asking that question? Yes, I am surprised. I am surprised that CNBC is asking that question, but I don't think it's a race baiting question. I don't. I actually do think it's a legit question. I do. I think it's a legit question. But yeah, I don't think it's race baiting though. But I do think in general, yeah, are some of these networks trying to sort of compete for attention and add some drama into stuff? Yeah, sure. So to your to your other part of statement, Kentucky. Yeah, I do think that it's about the drama and not necessarily all about basketball, because it brings clicks and views and it brings engagement. You know, that's absolutely a thing. That's absolutely a thing. But I disagree with the notion that it's a race baiting question. I don't think it is, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I really don't think it is. But guys, at this point, I do want to ask you all, what do you think? What do you think about this situation? So I've given you all a lowdown. I've given you all a lowdown about who Cathy Engelbert is. If y'all missed that, go to the beginning of the stream. I talked about who she is, how she got to the WNBA, what she's done for the WNBA, which I think is all pretty awesome stuff. We then went into the full context of what was said in that CNBC interview yesterday. I showed you all I let you all listen to the audio itself, and then we walked through the actual words itself. We talked about it a little bit. I told you all what the WNBPA has said about it. So if y'all missed that, rewind about 15 minutes, and you all can hear what the WNBPA had to say about this situation. And now we're at this point where I want to know what you all have to say. I'm very curious. Like, am I like really off on this? Truly, guys, I thought long and hard before I actually did the stream, because I want to usually, like, especially when I do these daily downloads and whatnot, when I go through this, like, I want to make sure that, like, I'm trying to weed out all possible biases I may have and try to do, like, the most rational of takes. Now, guys, I'm curious, what do y'all think? I feel like what I said is pretty rational. My take on what she said, meaning all she had to do, it was a missed opportunity for her. She skirted the question. All she had to do was just add a little bit at the top. She could have continued with her same response. Her response is not necessarily the problem. It's that she should have added a little bit of thing at the front that said, yes, there is a darker tone that some have engaged with, and that is not acceptable for the league. Literally she could have continued to move on to her other topics. I'm a fan of Cathy Engelbert. I think she is a huge business mind. I think that the WNBA is very lucky to have gotten her from Deloitte. So she retired from Deloitte, ended up coming to the WNBA. Like, I think this is a huge get. This was a huge get in 2019 when she joined the WNBA. I think she has done some awesome stuff for the W. And she really is the business mind that we really do need to head up the W, because it's not just all about culture and whatnot. It's about the business. It's about making the money make sense. And it's about setting the WNBA up for success, which I think she does. Now, she's not perfect. Yeah. She should have added an addendum to that. Yes, she should have addressed in the quickest of parts what she said. I mean, what the question was, and then moved on. So that's a quick broad brush of. So if y'all just joined, that's basically my argument. But go back and listen to the specifics if you all want. But yeah. Robert says, Quita, did you see what the WNBPA came out and said about her comments? Yeah, I did. And I talked about that maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. So if you rewind, you can go back and listen to that. The Nat says, I agree, when media companies talk about the W, they focus on the drama. Yeah, because the drama brings ratings, unfortunately. But there's a way that you can address drama without being dramatic, like without feeding into it, I think. I think there's a way, and I try to lean into that. I try usually not to really talk about drama, and if I do, like, I try to give it a different spin, like, you know. So yeah, that's sort of the thing right there. Ron says this whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese thing is overhyped and way past boring and toxic. The players themselves aren't best friends, but they don't think about this nearly as much as folks commenting on the internet. Facts. Facts, 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 facts. I completely agree with that. Yeah. I completely agree with that. Futuristic says I'm a Clarky for life. That's fine. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of Caitlin Clark fans out there. Let's see. Pete says Angel is lying about death threats. Produce a police report or call 911. Someone follows you home and you don't call the police. Come on, folks. How do you know she didn't call the police? How do you know? Like the thing is like, how do you know? Are you tapped into her phone lines to know that she did or did not? How do you know that? The thing is, guys, you only know, all of us, we only know what players allow us to see. There's probably a whole bunch of stuff that they don't tell us about, that we don't see, that we don't know. How do you know she doesn't have a police report? How do you know that? You don't. That's the thing. You're assuming. You're assuming. Let's see. Well, that's about it. That's about it for the stream. Mang Theory says, I wish I knew you were live. A waste of me. I hope y'all have fun watching that. But anyway. But yeah, guys, that's the stream. That's the stream. I don't have anything else to say. But yeah, thanks for watching. Guys, if y'all are not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I make content all about women's basketball. So if women's basketball is your thing, please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Guys, tell people that you know. Tell women's basketball fans that you know. Tell WNBA fans that you know. Tell Caitlin Clark fans that you know. Tell A'ja Wilson fans that you know. Tell Sabrina Ionescu fans that you know that Quita Loves Sports is on the internet. And she's talking about women's basketball. And it's in a way that, at least in my mind, hopefully in you guys' mind too, is a realistic, respectful way. It's a way that's actually meant to grow the game of women's basketball, not in a way that is meant to tear down, to misinform, and to misguide people. That's what I try to do here. Hopefully that's what you all get from this. If not, let me know, guys. I'm not perfect at all. I'm sure I also have stuff I need to improve on as well. So let me know how I can get better, because yeah, this is my hobby. This is a passion project of mine, and I love it. I absolutely love what I do, as a side project. But yeah, yes, I will cover women's college basketball. Yep, I've been like extremely WNBA focused right now. Extremely WNBA focused. But yeah, and the funny thing is, in the summer, it's like people think I'll only cover the WNBA, and then during like the regular like school year from November to March, it's all about it's all about women's college basketball, and people are like, do you cover the WNBA? So it just depends on when you hop in and join the channel. You may think I only cover the WNBA, and you may think I only cover women's college basketball. I love that. Like we hyper focus on one thing. And yes, I would have loved to do more coverage about what colleges, what college players are doing over the summer and whatnot. But it was just so much activity going on around the WNBA. And also, again, guys, this is a secondary thing for me. I have like an actual job. I do a lot. And guys, if y'all are wondering, like, why does Quita do so much Sky coverage? I do so much Sky coverage because I go to all the home games. I have season tickets. So that's why you all see me do post-game recaps about about Sky games. The reason why you see me do so many of those in comparison to other content is because I go to all the games and I'm there anyway. And so I'm like, while I'm there, I might as well do a post-game recap, right? Now, I would love to do post-game recaps about all the other teams and whatnot because I watch the games. It's just that sometimes, like, I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, okay, I know what happened, but I'm not. Either I'm too tired to record a recap, or I'm busy, or I have to go to sleep, or it's always something going on. But the reason why I do so much of the Sky stuff is because I'm literally already there. If this was like my full-time thing, I would absolutely be covering more channels. I absolutely would be. Absolutely. But because I'm not, I kind of have to pick and choose what I do. And the default is usually the Sky because I'm already there. So I've already paid my money to watch those games. So yeah, that's the thing. Thank you so much, Reckles, for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. Chocolate Twist says, will you cover Unrivaled? That left an informative post on Instagram about their business model. Yeah. So I did do a live stream a month ago, I think, that did a deep dive. I did a deep dive about Unrivaled and like what they're all about. So if you all want to check that out, just go to my channel and or just type in Quita Loves Sports Unrivaled. You'll find the video. But yeah. So yeah, that's the thing right there. Thank you all so much for rocking with me. Guys, I hope you all will have a fantastic evening. There are some games that are happening right now. And so guys, I actually need to let's see what games are happening right now. The New York Liberty has defeated the Dallas Wings. The Minnesota Lynx have defeated the Atlanta Dream, and we're at halftime between the Connecticut Sun and the Los Angeles Sparks. The Sun are winning. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm gonna finish off. I'm gonna hop off of here so I can finish off watching at least the second half of that game. But guys, I appreciate y'all so much. Tomorrow I will be live after the Sky game to do a post-game recap. Again, it's because I'm already going to be at the game. It's at Wintrust Arena. So y'all can catch me live after that game. I will not be able to cover the Indiana versus Las Vegas Aces game because I will be at the Sky game. And those games are basically happening at the same time. So yeah, I will not be able to cover that game, nor will I be able to cover the Seattle Storm versus Los Angeles Sparks game. But hopefully I'll be able to cover. But I will be covering the Thursday game, the New York Liberty versus Dallas Wings. So yeah. All right, guys, that is it. I thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic evening. Guys, please go back and watch the front of the stream if y'all have not had a chance to watch it. Guys, have a great evening. Be kind to people, be nice to people, be respectful to people. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Like, comment, all that good stuff. Mama will be there tomorrow, so y'all will hear Mama tomorrow. Until next time, guys, I love you, but most importantly, Jesus loves you guys. Have a fantastic evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.